I'm from Eurostep, and we have been here a couple of years actually at PI. So last year we were talking about, or together with Saab Kockums, so we're talking about submarines using our software ShareAspace. The year before that, I think it was Renault cars. The year before that, it was Volvo trucks. The year before that, it was Volvo cars, and then we had Siemens turbines the year before that. So then you can really see the kind of industries that we are targeting with ShareAspace. This slide is my last one, Roger. And I think it was actually you that designed this. And first of all, Håkan Kodén, founder of Eurostep 25 years ago. We're celebrating 25 years this year. In this work, it's not really be a system that is the end user of what we're doing. It's the UK mod or Royal Navy, actually. So we have teamed up and worked in a very interesting partnership, very good partnership with BAE. And during this, at some stage, we actually started to share the values of the two companies and agree that there were quite a lot of overlap. So we say in Eurostep that we are brave, so we took on this project. We want to be successful, we want to deliver this project. We are dedicated, and that's something really we have been proving for the last 2 years together with you guys. And we are trusted. Trusted is something you can't really start up with, but you earn it if you do a good job, and I think we are there. And in the end, we really would like to make a difference. So that's what the whole thing is about. And maybe Roger, thank you for coming here, first of all, but I have you to describe your value words. Thank you very much.
Hi, good morning. Roger Hobley from BAE Systems. So I'm going to take you through sort of the next half an hour and just explain why we're here. So as Håkan said, it's a partnership between BAE, Eurostep and the UK mod. But particularly, why we're here, we are busy and there's a lot of things to do to support our two carriers. And really it's about integrated logistics and the information that we need. And we'll come on to the partnership and how it came about through. So, focused really a lot about people. So we won't get into a large amount of technology. I don't want to stand here and talk to you about DEXs and things like integration. It's actually about the information that we need. So we're going to come on and show you a short video about her, the carrier herself, and then we'll go into the IS project. So we think she's a cracking piece of equipment, the QEC aircraft carrier. Just a few facts and figures on there for you to have a look at. And the main thing, we're just about to see a video, is that it's the most important asset a company owns. Yeah, so the title of the presentation is Why Is It a Flagship Project? We certainly think we're at the forefront of what we're doing. We're providing the information that people need. And we don't shy away from some hard work, which will be a theme for the next sort of 20 minutes, half an hour. She is an amazing platform, and particularly the bottom point there. So depending on which media outlet you look at, for 1/3 to 1/5 of the cost of a nearest rival, we can deploy an awful lot of capability.
Everyone, and welcome to what is a very significant occasion.
The first memory is coming into the office on the first day and realising the size and scope of the job ahead.
I've seen it from drawings to seeing it for the first unit being assembled, to seeing it, the first block ready to go to the site. The magnitude, the size of it is exciting. It still kind of makes me smile to think that we've made this.
And for something this size, there was not one particular shipyard that could do this job. So we've actually put an all-star team together, if the truth's known, working simultaneously to build such a fantastic ship.
Most exciting part of the project for me was when the main generators went in. There's 146 tonnes each. It wasn't fingers crossed because I knew it would fit.
When I first saw the block coming out of the ESPO, it was really scary. I didn't think it was going to make it. It was just inches to spare, really.
But it was just the size of it, and just to think that's just one block. That's what was really unbelievable, because the block was almost the size of a Type 45 vessel itself, you know, and it was just like, we made that, you know, it was just exciting.
LBO2 rollout, 6,000 tonnes coming out onto the barge, absolutely amazing. It filled the whole hall here in Portsmouth. And then suddenly to see it out in the sunshine onto the barge was amazing.
Having to move a block weighing almost 12,000 tonnes, the size of a skyscraper, round the country gives great challenges.
We can only float her off in Rosyth once per month on a spring tide. So you really do have an incredible amount of pressure on you to get these blocks delivered on time and on schedule.
When we loaded out Load Block 4 Ship 1, we were taking 10,000 tonnes of steel, something the size of a football pitch, 6 stories high, and then rolling it onto a barge. It was a really momentous day.
One of the greatest things to have witnessed is the whole piecing together of it. Because obviously you don't know straight away whether it's all going to fit, and when you see it happen first time, it gives you a great sense of pride.
I've been where they've had these ring join-ups and you can look down and the precision is quite awe-inspiring.
Probably the most absolutely interesting part was when the forward island, UBO7, came up to Rosyth from Portsmouth. So seeing it actually fitted onto the ship, you could start to see the structure come together for the very first time.
I think it changed the whole shape of the carrier. It looked like a bit of a flat-top barge up until that point, and then suddenly UBO7 was on there, and it just gave you that iconic profile that you were expecting to see from a carrier.
It's probably one of the biggest systems integration tasks that the UK have ever seen. Just the sheer volume of cable that we're installing on board the carrier. If you laid it out in a straight line, it would reach almost from London to Gibraltar, with data and information travelling at the speed of light for the length and breadth of the ship. The systems then interconnect with a vast degree of systems off board, from satellites to surveillance aircraft and back to joint command centres back in the UK.
It's a masterpiece in engineering. It's absolutely tremendous.
I named this ship Queen Elizabeth. May God bless her and all who sail in her.
So we'll leave it there with the boss. So we will come on to the IS project itself as opposed to the ship. So as some of the guys and girls said, there's an awful amount of data flowing around that ship itself and into its support chain. So we're going to move on to the project and what is it about the information systems project that makes it a flagship. So in our world we talk about safety, and above all the people on that platform, they deserve to be safe. They deserve that the equipment should be capable of doing what it's doing, and it's got to be available when she wants it available. And that's not the entire platform itself, it depends what mission type she's doing, and we have to flow that information to those people, but it's really about people, and that's what we're going to spend the next sort of 20 minutes talking about. So the information that comes to that platform comes from a huge distributed support chain. And if we talk about safety, that vessel is underpinned by a safety case, which comes from an awful amount of data sat in our asset management systems, coming through from your PDM, PLM systems from the Aircraft Carrier Alliance, made up of 3 big primes, BAE, Babcock and Thales, and a whole here of suppliers underneath. And we're bringing that information through into in-service, which is a big challenge for us. Its capability is about managing its design intent through life. So we talk about individual vendors, products that we use. There are a variety of those in the makeup of the carrier itself. And we have to manage that, bring it through into in-service. And she has to be available. So there's an awful lot of information in our maintenance systems. And when we bring all that data together, it's really for those people on board. So what you're really looking for is, we call it assured product support information. And that's got to flow through to those people on the platform. And all the people that have sat behind her, so Captain Steve McCarthy, who looks after her, runs the team from MOD in Bristol, has to support and deliver that information to her at speed through what is a contractually broken support chain. So Hawken touched on it at the start, how did this project come about? And it's one of the main themes, that we didn't just look at the systems and have an IT department, and whilst I'm technology development manager, we don't focus on the tools itself. The main thing we had was we talked about the people at the front end. So in Navy Command, we had a set of people that really believed, that wanted what we call an integrated logistics support solution. We touched on it in the keynote speech about ILM. Integrated logistics support has been around since the 80s, and it's not widely implemented. Okay? And they found a series of people within the support chain who actually believe that what those people on that platform deserve is that data flowing through. So we found a customer champion in the UK MOD who believed in all of those things on there. And two big ones was to remove the lock-in from vendors and to remove the lock-in from applications. So a constant churn of IT projects that offers no value to our frontline users on our platforms. It offers no value to the support chain. You are locked in, never-ending churn of IT projects. And they found a match as well out in industry with some people that believes why I'm here today. So is it an ongoing project? Yes, it is. We're bringing the second carrier in, and we have a lot of work today. But the reason we're here today is because I certainly believe in what's on what's on here. And we found a match between people in the MOD, myself, and in terms of their, I'll pick out the main one there, is the open data standards that have been there that lots of people talk about, but very few people actually go and do. So we don't shy away from it. So the reason that we call this a flagship project is we're taking on that challenge because it is possible, and we'll get to that and show you how we've done it. And we also found a partnership with Eurostep, who believe in a very similar set of beliefs, that it is possible to do it, and it's why it's circled there, because that's what that platform enables us to do. It's why Håkan introduced us, but it was about people. So that's how this project came about. And this is my particular feeling. It wouldn't be a shame. So over the years, going back to the 80s, various programs, for those who don't know, a lot of the acronyms on there, Computer-Aided Logistics Support Program, or Continuous Acquisition Lifecycle. ISO 10303 was mentioned in the previous presentation, the use of STEP, and going through to various bits of information. A lot of it outlines some of the things that you hear in conferences and people talk about today. It's been documented, well documented. There are solutions on the table, but not many people actually go and do. So what I hear a lot, one of the reasons I come today, is I hear these sorts of expressions. So if you have a complex problem, you need my new tool. You need my tool, it does everything. It's innovative. It's an innovative new software product to deal with your problem, and it's my tool. And then I hear, well, I know you haven't got lots of money to buy your new tool, so what I'll do is I'll sell you as a service. And what that does is locks a customer in. So go back to these previous values. We wanted a project that didn't lock our customer in. So we stood there alongside the MOD and said, we can do that for you. We'll give you a platform to manage your data. We'll put it on your infrastructure because it's yours. And the value is providing that information flow through, not necessarily the tools. We don't just wrap it into a service, which has been the last 5 to 10 years in terms of IT product sales. So, and then the next guy turns up, or next lady turns up and says, no. Because we're 6 months down the line, you need my tool. So we come on to my favourites. When people talk to me about you can't use standards, it's really difficult. It's very costly. You need some very intellectual people. And I come on to a couple of my personal favourites of these two. There's no point. There's no point. There's lots of products. They change all the time. You don't need to do it. And my absolute personal favourite is this one. What's standard about a standard? Well, the more we shy away from it, the more you get locked into never-ending IT projects. And actually, if you just focused on what you need, you get to where we got to. So a lot of people shy away from that and say you don't need to address that complex problem. We'll put it all on the cloud. We'll give you some big data. We'll collect it all. You don't need context. So we touched on the keynote speech, really. And David sat there. It's about context, your baselines. You need context for your information. And then people say, don't worry. You don't need to integrate that. We'll use AI. It'll work it out for you. And we'll stick it all in collaborative environments. Yeah, because it's big, it's tough, it's challenging. Yeah, and all those things in there are things. And that's not what your customer needs. It's not what my customer needs, and it's not what the sailors on board need. What they actually need is the information. So we focused on the information, and certainly not a whole pile of things that you can spend an awful lot of money on, and in a couple of years' time, you'll do it all again. So, data integration platform. So what was the business challenge? We're bringing in a set of integrated information of various forms, and we'll go on to that from the Aircraft Carrier Alliance. As I said, 3 big primes. We can't go into the actual specifics, but it's quite a large vessel, quite a complex system of systems. So 165 circa systems of systems with lots of information, data, objects, databases, files, and we're dropping that into an in-service environment that's common across the different classes. So we have processes in our in-service environment designed for managing a digital ship as well as a paper one. So we still have ships that have been operational for 50 years as QEC is designed to. Yeah, they certainly do not have a digital backbone. And we have one set of business processes to react to, as David said, the phone calls, the signals from the ship. And what we didn't want to do is break that information set apart. So it's where this project came from. We have to transition and bring that through. So we'll go on to some of the challenges. We'll go through them. We'll try and go through them at a pace. So we needed an urgent solution. We looked at the problem for a while, and we got to a position where we had to make a choice. Yeah. So we needed to do something at high speed. Excuse me. I mentioned the support chain. So whilst we have PLM, PDM systems, we have engineering, CAD systems, engineering systems within the Carrier Alliance and its suppliers. It's contractually driven through that support chain in terms of what those deliverables are and the use of those systems. The information set, very much configured for design. And so you can't deliver something for 1/3, 1/5 the cost of its nearest rival without taking some key decisions. So there was a business put together with the Alliance to deliver that. But it's for delivery. So whilst we specified a set of information to come into in-service, that's broken up and distributed and fit for purpose for delivering it into as a ship. In terms of technical, so there's a lot of design-focused data, and they're not necessarily for support. So there are very specific support deliverables, but I need that context all the way through the data. Data primacy was a big challenge for us in terms of the processes used and at the transition point, who's in control of the data. And that problem we have for several years, where we have the design authority for the vessel is back in industry, yet we have Queen Elizabeth in service, which we want to make changes to. So you need a through-life configuration management and change process. Data quality is quite interesting. When you look at the various suppliers, it ranges from very good to not so good, and for a whole variety of reasons. Yeah, we've got to bring the projects in time, we've got to deliver, and it's your data that always suffers. Doesn't matter what project I see, it's always the same. We have legacy applications, as people talk about, in service, and one of the key things is they're the center of their own universe. So everyone who works with them has built them, loved them, fed and watered them. Yeah, they don't like change, and they certainly don't like someone coming in saying, I can make that data open, I can make it available to everyone, because it changes the value proposition for them. Yeah, you pull that away from them. So whilst it's technically challenging to put it out, it very quickly gets into that business area. So why have we gone for the open standards? So we talk about 50 years. The QEC aircraft carrier will have to be around for certainly 50 years. So, and during that time, this slide's looking backwards, you go through a number of ages, and it goes back to my point about being locked in never-ending IT projects. So through the period of time, we will go through a whole number of IT projects, IT changes, as you work your way down that stack. One of the big important ones in there is, I think it's 25. Yeah, about 25 customer changes. So the corporate loss of knowledge every time someone moves on. Why are you doing what you're doing? There's a new project. There's a new IT solution to come and deliver it to me. Yeah. And you have to repeat that exercise yet again. Why are we doing what we're doing? Why have we got this tool? Gentlemen, in the previous presentation, why Aris? Yeah. Yeah. Why Inovia? Why this? Do it again. Because the leadership changes. Well, if you go to the open standards, and if you use that research, and if you use that knowledge that was put down, you don't have to. Okay, because you can manage that data and put it into different environments. So this was our task. So we come into a couple of some business people and some sailors. So this is what I wanted in terms of my requirements. Single points of access, a lot of things on there that most of us see. Yeah, and we have architectures evolved to deliver it. What we wanted was a change process that transitioned us from design and building to support and enabled me to manage that context through its life. So this is what we came up and delivered. So that's my team, the techie geek on the right-hand side, because we are allowed to smile. I know it's Monday in London. And it was a long journey for some of us to get there. And we'll come back to that. So one of the things we wanted on there is a RESTful API that we'll come and get to that's completely open. So one of the key things between myself and my team on the right-hand side and Håkan behind us and our customer here is that completely open data is how we got this project going, and it comes back to that belief system of the people involved. The customer really understood that. And this is what we've ended up with in terms of capabilities. So we have the ability for collaborative processes. We have a completely open data platform with as soon as we change it, there's an instant RESTful API ready and available that anyone who collaborates with my customer, the UK MOD, can go and extract some data from it. Yeah, but it's clear, it's coherent, it's right down to an ISO standard at its core, yeah, and I can manage that for over 50 years. So a lot of people talk about where are we, what are we doing, present roadmaps. This is actually operational. So on the left-hand side, we've taken our information from the industry systems, and we've taken in from the PDM system. We've mapped it through to the in-service configuration systems that are in play today, and we're into the LSARs, or Logistics Support Analysis Record, for those not familiar with LSARs. And I flowed that information through to the maintenance management system on the side. And we're going to go and just talk you through a couple of capabilities that we put on top of the platform. So that's operational, and that's really the core of the solution. I know exactly what I've got. I've got the different baselines as designed, as fitted, are in that solution. And I've got information coming back from the maintenance management system. What we're now moving on to is putting that supplementary data alongside. So along the top there, you'll see the engineering data that goes along with it. So I can actively manage my hazards on the platform and the logistical applications underneath. So we pull together that integrated logistics information set that's free and available to everyone. So that's what we're doing. So in terms of the capability, what have we got? So we'll get slightly techie only for 2 minutes. Yeah. Ranges of sources on the left-hand side. We bring that information through, and we're going to come on to that, and we ingest it. And the main thing is there we have the CSM stands for Common Support Model. It's an MOD program for managing all its classes of ships in the same way. And we have an information domain model or business object model that we map into the ISO standard platform. We then deliver some capabilities set on top of that. So what's actually operational? Yes, it's a single source of truth. It's up to date that we've got from our systems, and it's validated and verified. We have support data, we have design data in that platform, and I'll come on to what we do with that. I've talked about already a common way of accessing it through those RESTful APIs, and I'll show you some capabilities we've got that are sat on top of that today. We talk about being navigable and searchable So in order to have that open data set and the speed of information flow, it has to be both navigable and searchable. A lot of people talk about you can search things, you can search information on the fly, you can just use AI. For it to be assured, it's got to be navigable. It's got to be in that configuration baseline. So we have lots of documents that were written that reference parts that never actually made it through. Yeah, the document's never released, that's fine, but it's being delivered to us. So before the AI engine goes and pulls it out and gives it to an in-service support user and is in a different company 10 years down the line, we've maintained that coherent set. Yeah, and the system actually tells me that that document was never released. It tells me those parts were never actually delivered. So you get some real engineering provenance into your data set. One of the key things we've done is I mentioned we have a ship both in design and build and in support, with the design authority moving between those two organisations. So we have the ability to branch the design. So my in-service, Captain Steve and his team, we can make changes to the platform, and we derive the design intent from the originator, from the Aircraft Carrier Alliance. So there's no mix between the design authorities. My customers are able to change his or her platform. That's at their bequest. HMS Queen Elizabeth is in the fleet, but the design authority is back in the Carrier Alliance, which will be around for about another 18 months until we receive HMS Prince of Wales, and that organisation will be shut down. But I can maintain that coherence. So as we're changing it, I can see where that information was derived from, and there's a train of decision making with engineering provenance. We delivered an integrated S1000D capability for the information set that's been delivered, that's not in a standards-based way. And I'll come on to show you what that looks like. And I've already covered the open API. In terms of sharing data, it is controlled, and we'll come on to what we're doing about that in terms of adding the collaboration features of the platform. Is one of the key things we're working on now. So what are those features? So what runs through it? So a lot of people talk about digital thread, which is there in red. So we bring our information in to this platform. And I talked about the domain model. That's key to us. So it's running, it's under configuration control. And we're currently mapping in the Type 45 destroyer information to onboard future ships. So that's what we're actively working on now. And it runs through, and we can maintain right down to a realised part. I can go down to every serialised asset that's on that platform, that's in the registers, and I can drill through that information set. So we ingest it. We have a portal on the application, on the integration platform itself, on the ShareAspace platform. That is standard out of the box. We haven't changed it at all in any way. We're just populating modules of data that our customer and the suppliers and the support chain can go and see and look at, and they are actively doing that. To go and find out any information from that platform. Some are viewers, some are authors, so we can go in and add to that data set through that standard GUI that's there. What we've also done to make things a little bit easier, so this is a tool sat on top of the platform that's connected to that RESTful service. So this is our document amendment portal, so where we can search, find, check in, check out, and add documents to any part of that configuration of the ship. And that's been done connecting to that RESTful API. So we haven't coded it, we've just connected it, and we've got a nice user experience for our people. So what that allows us to do is, whilst we've got a bespoke unit there, is I can go and connect that to things like the Azure platform in exactly the same way. So we will be looking at, as the software evolves on the platform, we'll be utilising its existing onboard tools, but also my customer, the UK mod, is all up on Office 365. They have Power BI, as mentioned earlier today. They have all those tools on their desktop. They can go into this platform and pull the data out. So we talked about some other capabilities. So what we've done is one of our key things that we wanted to do is deliver a set of information around that integrated set. So we have a set of design data and a logistics record, an LSAR, for those who know what LSARs are. And one of the tricks is looking at across your systems a, say, configuration status account. Not just looking down one system where you get locked into your one system. So we're able to now integrate that data set across the various tools in place, so the maintenance system, the design, and the PLM system, and we have a full set of reports that are available with full drill down, launches off into the integration platform itself to go and retrieve a document if you have access, or to the various systems where you'll go and find it. And that's all available out in the support chain. Another capability that we've done is we've allowed access to the data set to control what goes into a datum pack. So we don't put all of the documents, I can't tell you how many documents there are, but there is a set of assured documentation that goes on the platform. Call it an IETP, an Integrated Electronic Technical Publication, or datum pack, and that goes on the ship. And it has to be validated and verified. Yes. So what we've done on top of the portal is we've given the engineers with role-based access the ability to go in and select what should and shouldn't be in the platform. It can be validated and verified. And then there's a launch capability where we can go in and we can run trial builds of that IETP. Does an automated conversion in the back end from CAD drawings, DWG files into an appropriate standard and delivers a data module. It's all done automatically, sat underneath the platform. One of the other major technical challenges is get the integration working. So a lot of people think, well, that's easy, Roger. We just connect the systems, you design the interface, you deliver it to me. When you're building and delivering that interface between those systems and you're trying to go through your test processes, so here's our project manager. You've designed the interface, Roger. Just go and test it and deliver it. Well, my team's up here on the right-hand side. Because every day that data's changing. So the Aircraft Carrier Alliance is allowed to go and change its data. It's allowed to correct it. It's allowed to change its data models. So every day after we've loaded our in-service systems, it's changing. So every time I go through a test cycle, we have to load both a delta, full set of tests, and an update. So one of the key things about communication is the ability of people to talk to senior managers and explain that is very difficult. Senior managers switch off straight away when you start telling them the difficult technicalities of systems integration. It's boring, or it certainly is to them. And this is what I hear all the time. It's not one interface, it's one line on your drawing. There's one line in the senior monthly management pack. So just in the PLM interface, there's 79 interfaces in there with over 200 to 300 business objects coming down. It's a very dry message, isn't it, for a senior leader who's got lots of other interesting things to look at. So what have we done? So what does this look like? So very quickly, the information comes across 4 network environments. What we're receiving, people talk about the PLM PDM systems. The information, though, is locked in a lot of those documents that you see and the links between them. So we bring that through, we stage it, we orchestrate it. But the key thing we do is we validate it when it comes across, and we read every single document electronically. We then use our data quality frameworks to generate the XML messages, to bring out of that documentation set the links between the information that's embedded in them. So we read every single one. And then we load that to our integration platform. So what I'm actually transferring into in-service is I'm not just taking the data from one place and putting it into an in-service. I've lifted that information out that's stuck in your PLM, because it's all about how you use the PLM, not the PLM system. And we talk about the power of where used. I can surf that information set. I can go and find those artifacts that were linked to a system, and that's freely available to my customer. So very quickly, what's next? So what are we working on? A few things in here. I've already mentioned one, We're going for full collaboration with our suppliers, so people that supply UK MOD in the support chain, and that will enable my customer to move his support chain, compete the work, so they're not locked into systems and suppliers. And that's actively being worked on now. And in particular, the central design repository, so we can do that engineering change with the CAD systems. Again, that's contractually done differently in support. And we're going to keep a watchful eye on what's coming from the platform. Rather than carry on developing our own solutions, there are a whole series of capabilities that Hawk and his team are working on, set on top of that open platform. So we're going to keep a watching brief on those. So I won't go and develop them if I don't need to. I'll take them from the standard core product. So I'm just going to wrap up. We start on, it's all about people, and it's all about information. It is possible. And one of the cool things we think is we're actually doing it. We're not talking about it. We're not having a detailed conversation about standards and how it's difficult and new systems. We're doing it. It's available to my customer today. We talk about the information architecture. We don't talk about applications. We all talk about information. So even though we're onboarding new destroyers, we're talking about the information, and we're turning systems off. So we're not bringing them through. We're not finding a new home for it. We're actually turning those systems off, and we'll bring it through and make it available. So the key thing in the middle there is you need to find a customer champion if you're going to do it. It is difficult. It is challenging. And people like me can stand up and make it sound easy. You have hard days, but it is worth it, because anything in life that's worth having is hard. I believe that, and we don't shy away from it. And what we've actually delivered, we think, is a really cool system. And it gives the information to the sailors. They can go and access it from anywhere they are, and it flows straight through. So I hope that was of interest to you. So we've got a few minutes for questions. Yep.
Yeah, we've got a couple of minutes.
Yeah. And thank you very much.
Okay. Any questions? Right, thanks for that. That's excellent. Could you explain a little bit how you communicate the data to your suppliers? Is it either digitally through like a PDF or 3D? And are they enabled to log in directly and view the data directly?
So yes, they are. So they can log in directly. They can view it directly. We're just enabling now, so they can go in and add any form of document to the system that they like at the moment. And what our customer, the MOD, is writing is a new information exchange requirement that will go in all support contracts, which is leading us towards a DEX. So what we've done is we've enabled a platform where if we've got a supplier that's only capable of delivering in PDF or Word documents, low-level suppliers, they can come in, they can ingest that information. We can read it and it comes through, and we can transition it into S1000D, or we go right up to the other end with some of the bigger suppliers into the mod who can supply us data in and up to a DEX. So there's a collaboration capability which we can take you through outside, but it's been done very deliberately so we can enable a transformation. So it doesn't limit my customer to one set of big primes.
Maybe I can add, if you don't have a question. Roger, you are here today and tomorrow?
Yes, today and tomorrow.
And Eurostep is in the exhibition, so there's a lot of opportunities for have detailed discussions about this as well, I think.
Any more questions?
Do you have any business processes running during the middle there, or is it it's just events being, let's say, transferred?
Okay, understand the question. So we have several business processes that are on board currently. The one we're now working on is the through life engineering change and ILS change processes running on top of the platform. business process engine sat on top. So we've deliberately enabled the processes for engineering to come across the transition into in-service. And we are now engineering those engineering change processes, just as you would imagine with a business process tool sat on top. The platform is able to throw events on any object, so we can link them in. One of the big things in there is the ability to share information, so with certain people for a limited amount of time. So if you change the platform, the combat systems providers don't like the data being shared with lots of others. But if you make a change to a ship like this, moving something physically and you cut through your blown fibre networks, we've got to be able to share the information between very locked down information on the combat systems in a virtual room sat on top of ShareAspace for a limited amount of time to a specific user, where they come up with the new design and then it gets stored away back down, but it orchestrated through a business process.
Thank you.
I think we've run out of time. So we've had the call, yeah? Good 2 questions. No, thanks very much.